Okay, so the last part of your comp test is number 13, and you've got 8 questions there, and they all have to do with integers, all different kinds of operations. So here's your first one. This is -6, and because there's no sign or operation in between these parentheses, then that means I'm going to multiply. A negative times a negative is a positive, and you don't necessarily have to write the positive sign, and 6 times 2 is 12. So my answer for this one is 12. Here we have a fraction bar, and remember fractions also mean divide. So this is 8 divided by 4, or you can ask how many times is 4 going to 8, and that's twice. But then my division rules are exactly the same for my multiplication. I have a negative divided by a positive, so my answer is negative. If I were to check that, that'd be -2 times -4. 2 times 4 is 8. A negative times a negative is a positive. And there I have my positive 8. Okay, now down below I've got 4 minus -6. The rule here is that if it's a subtraction problem, like this one says 4 minus or 4 take away, then I'm going to add the opposite. Don't forget that. So if I add the opposite, that means that first sign becomes addition, and then the opposite is this right here. So -6, opposite of -6 is a positive 6. So I've just turned this into 4 plus 6, which is 10. And the last one for that row is usually you'll have a number where you have to multiply 3 different numbers. And so I can either figure out my sign first, or I can just figure out what my number answer will be. I guess I like to do the sign first. So negative times negative means that's a positive. Here I have a positive times a negative, which means my answer is going to be negative. And now I can just ignore the signs and just go ahead and multiply. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 1, 6. And my answer is -6. Now for the second half, it says 4 minus 6. Again, this is a, oops, you can't see that. Again, this is a subtraction problem because it says 4 minus 6. And just like I did before, I want to add the opposite. This becomes addition, and the opposite of positive 6 is a -6. So now this looks like this, 4 plus 6 negatives. You ask the question, are they the same sign or are they different signs? Good, different signs. So that means I'm going to find the difference between them. The difference between 6 and 4 is 2. And then you ask, well, what do I have more of? Do I have more negatives or do I have more positives? You have more negatives, and that gives me the sign for my answer, -2. You might just have a division problem in there, like -6 divided by 2. You can, again, find the sign first, or you can just solve it and find the number answer. I'm going to go ahead and just solve it. So 6 divided by 2, or how many times is 2 going to 6? That's 3, so I know for sure that's right. And again, my rules for division are the same as my multiplication rules. So I have a negative and a positive. That means my answer is going to be -3. The next one is another subtraction problem, 6 minus positive 2. And sometimes they'll show you that it's a positive, sometimes they'll write it like this, 6 minus 2, without parentheses, or even with parentheses, but it's all the same concept. It's a subtraction problem, so I want to add the opposite. This becomes addition, and the opposite of a positive 2 is a -2. So we've got 6 minus 2, just like I wrote over here, so either way you'll see it. 6 take away 2, you all know that, that's 4. And the last one, -6 minus 2. It's a different problem from what I had up here, but it's using the same numbers, and it's still a subtraction problem. So just like up here I said I have to add the opposite, I want to do the same thing here. This becomes addition, and then the opposite of a positive 2 is a -2. So to rewrite it, this says -6 plus -2. And I asked the same question, just like I did up here. Are these the same sign or are they different signs? Because they're the same sign, you want to combine them. So 6 negatives and 2 negatives, so 6 and 2 is 8. And then, since they're both negatives, it's like adding negatives to another pile of negatives. You just add on to more negatives. It doesn't change the sign. And there you have it. There's your comp test.